Zambia stood still as security forces stormed in. President Hakainde Hichilema was dragged out on treason charges. What triggered this high-stakes political arrest? Stay tuned. Breaking news. Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia's opposition leader at the time, was dramatically arrested and charged with treason, sending shockwaves through the nation and sparking international attention. This video breaks down the tense moments of the arrest, the reactions from Zambians and global leaders, and the deep political implications that followed. What you'll see in this video: the full story of Hichilema's arrest on treason charges, eyewitness footage and timeline of events, reaction from Zambian citizens and political analysts, what this meant for democracy and justice in Zambia. Was this a political witch hunt or justified law enforcement? Comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breaking news and African political insights. The full story of Hichilema's arrest on treason charges. Hakainde Hichilema, the charismatic leader of Zambia's United Party for National Development, UPND, was arrested on April 11, 2017, in a dramatic late-night raid on his Lusaka home, charged with treason, a capital offense carrying a potential death penalty and no option for bail under Zambian law. The arrest followed an incident on April 8, 2017, during the Kwamboka ceremony in Mongu, Western Province, where Hichilema's convoy allegedly obstructed the motorcade of President Edgar Lungu, leader of the ruling Patriotic Front, PF. What began as a seemingly minor traffic dispute ballooned into a politically charged case that exposed deep divisions in Zambia, a nation once hailed as a beacon of democracy in southern Africa. The backdrop to the arrest was Zambia's volatile political landscape following the August 2016 presidential election, where Lungu narrowly defeated Hichilema by a margin of 100,000 votes, 50.35% to 47.63%. The UPND alleged widespread electoral fraud, including vote rigging and manipulation by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ. Hichilema's petition to the Constitutional Court was dismissed on a technicality: failure to hear the case within 14 days, fueling accusations of judicial bias and intensifying distrust between the opposition and the PF government. Public unrest followed, with protests in UPND strongholds like southern, western, and northwestern provinces, met with police crackdowns that resulted in arrests and reported fatalities. The April 8 incident occurred against this tense backdrop. Both Hichilema and Lungu were attending the Kwamboka ceremony, a cultural event of the Lozi people marking the Barats King's annual relocation from floodplains. As Lungu's motorcade attempted to overtake Hichilema's convoy on a narrow, dusty road between Limulunga and Mongu, Hichilema's vehicles reportedly failed to yield, prompting police to accuse him of endangering the president's life. The government alleged that Hichilema's actions constituted an attempt to usurp executive power, justifying the treason charge under Section 33 of Zambia's Penal Code, which defines treason as acts to overthrow by unlawful means the government. On April 11, at around 2:30 a.m., over 100 heavily armed police officers surrounded Hichilema's residence in Lusaka's New Kasama suburb. The raid was marked by excessive force. Officers fired tear gas canisters into the house, broke down doors, and cut off electricity and water supplies. Hichilema, his wife Mutinta, and their children sought refuge in a fortified safe room for over 6 hours. Police denied entry to Hichilema's lawyers initially, raising fears for his safety. After negotiations, Hichilema emerged, was arrested alongside 5 others, including UPND aides William Banda, Laston Wanabo, and 3 household staff, and was taken to Lusaka Central Police Station. Reports later confirmed that the raid damaged property, including vehicles and household items, and left Hichilema's family shaken. The 6 were charged with treason, unlawful assembly, and disobeying lawful orders. The state's case rested on the claim that Hichilema's refusal to yield was a deliberate act to undermine Lungu's authority, coupled with allegations that his convoy included roadblockers, armed with machetes and stones. However, the charge's severity drew immediate condemnation. Amnesty International labeled it a cynical ploy to silence dissent, while the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops called it evidence of a dictatorship. Legal scholars argued that the incident, at worst, warranted minor traffic or public order charges, not treason, which historically applied to acts like coups or assassination plots. Hichilema's detention was marked by allegations of human rights abuses. He was initially held at Lelei Police Training College, then transferred to Lusaka Central Prison, and later to Mukabiko Maximum Security Prison in Kabwe, a facility notorious for harsh conditions. 3 of his co-accused reported torture, including beatings, exposure to tear gas in confined cells, and the application of pepper spray to their genitals. The Zambia Human Rights Commission demanded investigations, but no officers were prosecuted. Hichilema himself described his detention as hellish, citing poor sanitation, inadequate food, and psychological intimidation. The legal process was fraught with delays and controversies. On April 18, Hichilema appeared at Lusaka Magistrate Court, where supporters clashed with police outside. The court, presided by Magistrate Greenwell Malyamani, declined to dismiss the treason charge, citing lack of jurisdiction, and referred the case to the High Court. On May 26, Hichilema's defense, led by lawyers like Jack Muyimbu, successfully argued for a review of the prosecution's move to the High Court, but on June 8, Magistrate David Simasamba committed the case for trial. The defense challenged the charge's validity, noting its vague wording and lack of evidence linking Hichilema to an overt act of rebellion. As the case dragged on, Lungu declared a state of emergency on July 5, 2017, citing arson attacks and unrest, though critics saw it as a pretext to consolidate power. International pressure grew, with the US, EU, and South Africa expressing concern. Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo visited Zambia, facilitating dialogue between Lungu and Hichilema. On August 16, 2017, Director of Public Prosecutions Lillian Sayuni entered a null proska, dropping the charges. Hichilema was released after 127 days in detention, though the conditional discharge meant he could be rearrested. The release followed a deal for national dialogue, though talks later stalled. The case underscored Zambia's polarized politics, with Hichilema emerging as a symbol of resistance against authoritarianism. His release did not resolve underlying tensions, but it set the stage for his landslide victory in the 2021 election, where he defeated Lungu with 2.8 million votes, 59.02%. Eyewitness footage and timeline of events. Specific eyewitness footage is not detailed in the sources, but reports reference visual evidence and vivid accounts from the April 8 incident and subsequent events. A Reuters photograph from April 18, 2017, shows Hichilema waving defiantly from a police van's window as he left court, a moment that galvanized UPND supporters. The Los Angeles Times cites a video of the Mongo incident, likely recorded by police or bystanders, depicting Lungu's motorcade attempting to pass Hichilema's convoy on a narrow road. The footage shows police vehicles swerving toward Hichilema's cars, sirens blaring, in what appeared to be an attempt to force them aside. UPND aides claimed their convoy was unaware of Lungu's approach due to poor communication, while police insisted Hichilema deliberately blocked the road. Witnesses to the April 11 raid provided harrowing accounts. Hichilema's wife, Mutinta, described police firing tear gas into their home, forcing the family to wear wet cloths over their faces to breathe. Neighbors reported hearing gunshots and seeing smoke rise from the property. UPND lawyers, including Martha Mushipe, recounted being barred from the scene for hours, with police threatening to storm the safe room. These accounts, reported by outlets like News 24 and the Zambian Observer, painted a picture of a militarized operation disproportionate to the alleged offense. Detailed timeline of events. August 11, 2016. Lungu wins the presidential election with 1,860,877 votes to Hichilema's 1,760,347. UPND alleges fraud, but the Constitutional Court dismisses their petition on September 5, citing time limits. October 2016 to March 2017, tensions rise with arrests of UPND supporters, closure of the Post newspaper, and suspension of 48 opposition MPs for boycotting Lungu's parliamentary address. April 8, 2017, Hichilema's convoy allegedly obstructs Lungu's motorcade during the Kwamboka ceremony in Mongu. Police accuse Hichilema of endangering the president. April 11, 2017, 2:30 a.m. police raid Hichilema's Lusaka home, using tear gas and force. Hichilema and 5 others are arrested and charged with treason. April 12 to 17, 2017, Hichilema is held at Lilei, then transferred to Lusaka Central Prison. Protests erupt in Lusaka, Ndola, and Kitwe, met with police tear gas. April 18, 2017, Hichilema appears in Lusaka Magistrate Court. Supporters clash with police outside. He is remanded in custody. April 26, 2017, Magistrate Malyamani refers the case to the High Court, declining to dismiss charges. May 22, 2017, court proceedings are adjourned due to procedural disputes. May 26, 2017, Hichilema's defense secures a review of the High Court referral. June 8, 2017. Magistrate Simasamba commits Hichilema for trial at the High Court. July 5, 2017. Lungu declares a 90-day state of emergency, citing arson and unrest. July 10, August 2017. International mediators, including Patricia Scotland and Olusegun Obasanjo, engage Lungu and Hichilema in talks. August 16, 2017. Charges are dropped via null proska. Hichilema is released from Mukabiko prison. Thousands celebrate in Lusaka. August 29, 2017. Hichilema attends Thanksgiving prayers at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross, drawing thousands of supporters. September 9, 2017. Hichilema receives the Africa Freedom Award in Johannesburg, boosting his international profile. Reaction from Zambian citizens and political analysts. Zambian citizens. Hichilema's arrest triggered widespread outrage, particularly in UPND strongholds. Protests broke out in Lusaka, Ndola, Kitwe, and Mongu, with youths burning tires and blocking roads. Police responded with tear gas and arrests, escalating tensions. In Choma, a UPND bastion, markets closed in solidarity. Social media platforms, especially WhatsApp and Facebook, buzzed with hashtags like #FreeHH and #ZambiaUnderSiege. Citizen journalists shared images of the raid's aftermath, including damaged property at Hichilema's home. The Zambian Observer reported public fears of a return to one-party rule, reminiscent of Kenneth Kanda's era. Hichilema's release on August 16 sparked jubilation. Over 2,000 supporters gathered outside Mukabiko prison, singing liberation songs and waving red UPND flags. In Lusaka, motorcades of UPND supporters honked horns, while others marched to Freedom Statue. However, some citizens, like 30-year-old trader Mary Fairai, expressed skepticism, telling Reuters that the conditional release was a political game to appease critics while keeping Hichilema vulnerable. The August 29 Thanksgiving service at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross drew over 10,000 attendees, including religious leaders, opposition figures, and ordinary citizens. The event, broadcast on ZNBC, underscored Hichilema's growing stature as a martyr for democracy. Divisions persisted. PF supporters, like 45-year-old civil servant John Whale, argued Hichilema provoked the incident by disrespecting Lungu, reflecting tribal and regional loyalties. PF drew support from Bemba-speaking areas, UPND from Tonga-speaking regions. Political analysts, Alex Ngoma, University of Zambia, argued the release was a pragmatic move by Lungu to reduce domestic and international pressure ahead of 2021 elections. He warned that without addressing electoral and judicial reforms, Zambia risked further instability. Nicole Beardsworth, University of Pretoria, highlighted the case as part of a broader pattern of opposition suppression, noting Lungu's use of legal and coercive tools to weaken rivals. She predicted the dialogue would falter due to mutual distrust. Ryan Cummings, Signal Risk, emphasized the Commonwealth's role in brokering talks, but cautioned that Zambia's economic challenges, drought, low copper prices, and 15% inflation, would fuel unrest unless governance improved. Sishiwa, University of Cape Town, described the arrest as a low point for Zambia's democracy, accusing Lungu of weaponizing colonial-era laws to entrench power. He linked the case to earlier moves, like the 2016 closure of the Post and arrests of critics like Laura Mitty. Amnesty International, Deprose Machina, called for accountability for police abuses, including torture allegations. Machina criticized the state of emergency as a smokescreen for authoritarianism. Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, in a June 2017 pastoral letter, labeled Zambia a dictatorship, citing Hichilema's arrest, media crackdowns, and the suspension of MPs. The bishops urged dialogue but accused Lungu of bad faith. Nick Cheeseman, University of Birmingham, placed Zambia's crisis in a regional context, noting parallels with opposition arrests in Uganda and Zimbabwe. He praised Zambia's resilient civil society but warned of long-term institutional damage. What this meant for democracy and justice in Zambia. Hichilema's arrest and trial were a watershed moment for Zambia's democracy, exposing systemic weaknesses and testing the resilience of its institutions. Zambia had long been admired for competitive elections and peaceful power transitions, e.g., in 1991 and 2011, but the 2016 to 2017 period marked a sharp decline, with Hichilema's case as a flashpoint. Impact on democracy, judicial and police politicization. The treason charge highlighted the executive's influence over state institutions. The Constitutional Court's dismissal of the 2016 election petition, the police's excessive force, and the magistrate's reluctance to challenge the prosecution suggested a compromised judiciary and security apparatus. The 2016 constitutional amendments, which expanded presidential powers, e.g., appointing judges and ECZ officials, exacerbated this trend. Opposition suppression. The arrest was part of a broader campaign against dissent. The closure of the post in June 2016 for tax disputes, the suspension of 48 UPND MPs in June 2017, and arrests of activists like Hakainde Hichilema for seditious social media posts created a chilling effect. The state of emergency, extended to October 2017, granted Lungu sweeping powers to detain without trial and ban gatherings, evoking Zambia's 1964 to 1991 one-party state. Media and civil society crackdowns. Independent outlets like Movie TV and Komboni Radio faced harassment, while the Law Association of Zambia's leadership was threatened with impeachment for criticizing Lungu. These moves eroded democratic checks and balances. Tribal and regional polarization. The case deepened Zambia's ethno-regional divide. UPND's base in southern, western, and northwestern provinces rallied behind Hichilema, while PF strongholds in northern and eastern provinces backed Lungu. Accusations of tribalism, Hichilema as a Tonga, Lungu as a Bemba, fueled mistrust, threatening national unity. International repercussions. The arrest damaged Zambia's democratic reputation. The U.S. Embassy called for Hichilema's release, the EU condemned the state of emergency, and South Africa summoned Zambia's ambassador. The African Union and Southern African Development Community, SADC, urged restraint, while the Africa Liberal Network labeled Lungu's actions despicable. This scrutiny pressured Lungu to negotiate. Resilience and recovery. Despite the setbacks, Zambia's democracy endured. Hichilema's 2021 victory, with a 1 million vote margin, and Lungu's peaceful concession marked a rare democratic triumph in Africa. Civil society, religious groups, and youth movements played a key role in mobilizing voters, while international observers praised the election's credibility. Impact on justice. Legal misuse. The treason charge exemplified lawfare, using legal systems to target opponents. Section 33 of the Penal Code, a relic of colonial rule, was vaguely worded, allowing prosecutors to stretch its application. The escalation of a traffic dispute to a capital offense undermined legal proportionality. Human rights abuses. The raid, torture allegations, and Hichilema's detention in Mukabiko violated rights to fair treatment and dignity under Zambia's constitution and international law, e.g., African Charter on Human and People's Rights. The Human Rights Commission's calls for investigations went unheeded, signaling impunity. Conditional release. The null proska, while freeing Hichilema, left him vulnerable to rearrest, undermining justice's finality. Legal experts criticized the lack of acquittal or apology, noting it perpetuated fear among opposition figures. Public trust erosion. Hichilema's claim that the justice system had collapsed resonated widely. A 2017 Afrobarometer survey showed only 45% of Zambians trusted the courts, down from 62% in 2012. Continued arrests of UPND members, like Jeffrey Mwamba in 2018, reinforced perceptions of bias. Judicial sparks of independence. Some judges resisted pressure. High Court Judge Florence Lengalenga's 2017 ruling against the MP suspensions and Magistrate Charles Kafunda's 2018 acquittal of activist Pilato showed pockets of judicial courage, offering hope for reform. Broader implications. The Hichilema case was a litmus test for Zambia's democratic and judicial systems, revealing how fragile they had become under executive overreach. It underscored the need for constitutional reform to limit presidential powers, strengthen judicial independence, and protect free speech. The 2016 amendments, rushed through without consensus, left loopholes for abuse, as noted by the Venice Commission's 2016 report. The case also had regional implications. Zambia's slide mirrored trends in Zimbabwe, opposition arrests, Uganda, Bob Wine's detention, and Tanzania, media crackdowns under Magufuli. Yet, Zambia's 2021 election offered a counterpoint, showing that democratic backsliding could be reversed through civic mobilization and international support. For Hichilema, the ordeal was transformative. His detention humanized him, casting him as a resilient leader willing to endure sacrifice. His 2021 manifesto, emphasizing unity, economic recovery, and institutional reform, drew on lessons from 2017. However, challenges persisted, As president, Hichilema faced accusations of selective justice against PF figures, highlighting the difficulty of rebuilding trust in a polarized system. The treason case remains a cautionary tale for Zambia and beyond, illustrating how democratic norms can erode when power is unchecked. It also demonstrated the power of resilience, through citizens, civil society, and global allies, in restoring justice and democracy.